doing what we do here out on the West Coast. We're just sitting around listening to some 90s music and wearing our Kentucky gear. Thought before we got into the Doug vignettes, we would introduce the Ross family real quickly. Come on in. Okay. Beatrice, Trey, it's Roger Ross III, for you in the know. Nicholas, Monica, and Bean, of course. We just wanted to say together real quickly, since it's your 50th birthday, can we all say happy birthday together? Happy birthday, Doug. Okay, for these vignettes we're going to have to clear the stage. Okay, the room's been cleared, so we're ready for the vignettes. Since it's Doug's birthday, I thought I would crack a beer, celebrate with you all, even though it's like 10 a.m. here and I've got to coach my daughter's basketball team in about 15 minutes. But here's to you, Doug. Happy 50th. Really proud you made it. Glad to see you're following my footsteps closely. So happy birthday. Wish I was there to celebrate with you. But I'm not. So just wanted to first of all say thanks for inviting me to submit a video, Carrie. That was great. When I heard that, I was very excited. The only problem was I think you had suggested an iPhone video, which out here on the West Coast, that's not the way we do it. iPhone videos are for things like, you know, ducks pooping in the park, or your best friend getting hit by an 18-wheeler so you can put it on YouTube, that kind of thing. But for Doug Cauthen's 50th birthday, obviously you got to have high production values. You got to have props. You got to have the occasional cue card. You know, you got to do what it takes. And of course you got to have high def, right? So here it is in 1080p coming at you from the West Coast, from the Bay Area. Before I dig into the vignettes, hopefully you saw the MPAA rating. We're talking about an R here, so clear the room. This could get ugly. It's rated R because of language and violence. No sexual situations will be included in this particular video, but anyway, clear the room of the weak-hearted and the young. That's my suggestion anyway. You know, the other thing I forgot to mention is, you know, the high production values. Obviously, there will be some editing as well, and that's for the obvious reason that I'm not great at this and a little bit nervous. So we'll be doing some editing as we put this together for you before we send it off. Let me dig into the vignettes. I'll try to speak slowly. You know, unfortunately on the West Coast they discourage speaking Southern, so I've lost a little bit of my dialect and my ability to communicate with my fellow Kentuckians. I'll try to do what I can here, but occasionally I might fall into complete sentences and the occasional 3- and 4-syllable word. But I apologize up front. I don't mean to. It's just something that's happened to me being out here for so long. As to the vignettes, the first one is, I'd say in this day and age it's rated G at worst. I'm going to cut out some of the graphic parts, but it's just a pretty gentle story. And both the vignettes were chosen for the main purpose that they were ironic. When I think of Doug, and I think when everyone thinks of Doug, it's this, you know, perfect, great-looking gentleman. You know, the epitome of the Southern gentleman. And these vignettes are a couple of breaks from that particular, you know, sort of calm and composed demeanor that Doug usually put forth. And in fact, it was hard to dig up stories that were anything other than, you know, sort of how perfect he was and how he won this and he did that and he, you know, kind of perfectly stepped through life. But I was fortunate enough to be around for a couple of the low moments, and that's what I've chosen to talk about here today. The first one was early on in our friendship. My father had taken, in his latter years, had taken to golfing a fair amount, and as you all probably know, at least in those days, Doug was a good golfer. I can't really speak to that anymore. But back then he was a great golfer, and I thought, well, I've got my dad's golfing, and he'll really enjoy this guy Doug. He's a gentleman on the course, and he's a fantastic golfer. So I'll put those two guys together and see how they hit it off. I'm very excited about it. We went out to Tate's Creek, the public course there near my folks' house that Dad had kind of made his home course, and we went out. I don't recall who was in the foursome, but it was definitely Doug and me and Dad. And we had finished. It was, I think, in the latter part of the course, around 14 or 13, in that sort of part of the course. There's a par 3 that comes down and ends in a giant tree, and then you have a longer hole coming back the other direction. And we had finished the par 3, and we walked over to the tee box for the next hole, and which was actually just adjacent to this giant tree. And Doug really decided to put all he had into this particular shot, and unfortunately shanked it massively. I don't remember if we ever saw that ball again. I suspect we didn't. And in a unexpected and I'd say non-typical reaction, Doug kind of turned around and launched his driver farther than the ball went, I think. But he launched his driver into the air, which would have been okay if it hadn't been for this massive tree that was sitting kind of between us and the par 3. So it didn't come down. It buried itself deeply into the tree, and here you had all of us kind of looking up and wondering what to do next. The foursome behind us had been completely stalled because they were watching this activity and didn't really know what to do. We were a little distracting. From that point on, we were throwing things into the tree and climbing, and to tell you the truth, the story, I don't know how it ends. We did end up with the club and going to the next hole eventually. How we got there eludes me, because I was laughing so hard, and really watching my dad's reaction to sort of Doug's outpouring of emotion, you could say, and really made for a great memory, which Dad and I shared on many occasions, and really did enjoy regaling that story. Anytime I felt intimidated by how perfect Doug was, I tried to think of that one a little bit, and realized there was at least a small crack in the veneer. So that was one of my favorite moments early on. Then later, as we became good friends, hair came down a little bit, not much in Doug or my case really, but it came down as much as it could anyway. And there was another situation, again ironic, because forget what my father thought. My mother thought Doug was the greatest ever, and was an incredible gentleman, and again epitomized the southern traits that a man should have. And so she had this kind of expectation, and there was this aura around Doug that she had, and in a way it was kind of fun to see it pierced. I don't think she was ready for it, and it wasn't her demise, but it was probably started her on the path that way. I think we had been at a friend's wedding, and another friend, I won't name names here, but another friend had a few to drink. Speaking of which, I'm going to Doug, just for you. We're going to be playing a very simple offense today in my daughter's game, so this is really not a problem at all. But back to the story. So we had been at a wedding, and it had gotten late, and one of our companions was pretty well lit, and said this thing at the table. I don't even remember the context, but it was such a funny way that he said it, and it became something that Doug and I both mimicked occasionally and under the right circumstances, and kind of replayed that a few times. Now, unfortunately, in this case, it was not the right circumstance. It was the wrong circumstance. I don't know. I think Doug had a lapse of memory or whatever. I'd been living at home with my folks all through law school, so this should not have come as a big surprise. But the phone that he had called to leave me a message, or to talk to me, I guess, and ended up leaving a message, was my parents' phone. And so when he got the answering machine, which may have had my voice on it, I would give him credit. I don't know if that was the case or not. It could have actually had me saying, "Hey, you've reached the Rosses, leave a message." But in any case, it was not meant for messages just for me, which I think this one was. And so Doug had called and apparently left a message, and this is the part where we moved from the G rating to, I think in this day and age, it's probably still maybe PG-13. The R is probably a little overstating it, but you know, Mrs. Cauthen, if you're there, I apologize in advance. And I know this was a shock for my mom, and when you hear this, it may shock you as well. But at least it won't be under the same circumstances. You've been warned. My mother was a little surprised. Walks into our living room where the voicemail or the recording machine was, the telephone answering machine, and hit the button. And I think I was down the hall. I happened to hear this and heard the reaction. And again, I cannot do this quite the way Doug did it. He was great at it. I can't get that animalistic sort of guttural, filthy sort of sound to it, which is really what's necessary to make it play well. But imagine my mother hitting the button, and I think Doug said something to the effect of, you know, "Hey, Ross, you know, you big pussy, get out of bed." And then I think the next thing I heard was a loud thump as my mother passed out and hit the floor, and then me in hysterics back in the bedroom. And I wish I could say the words there that he said quite the way he did. I can't do it justice. Maybe if you've got him there, he's had a couple of drinks, maybe you can get him to do it for you. I think that would be fantastic, and maybe Carrie video that and send it back to me. Anyway, it's been fun. I wish I could have been there in person, but sharing these vignettes is great. The Ross family, current and my folks, we all loved Doug, and I got to tell you, my folks did think the world of Douglas and our friendship, and we're just really thrilled that I had met him. I personally am too, and you know, miss you guys. Have a great party. Think of us when you're on the West Coast. Come see us, and we'll treat you right. Take care. Happy birthday. Hey, sorry to intrude. Hey, cut. Hey, sorry to intrude on the birthday party one more time, but I was just sitting here reveling in the victory. Peace Team won, despite my beer before the game. So just sitting here listening to 90s music and having a cafe latte. That's California for coffee. And remembered I had totally blown one of the costume changes for the video, and seeing as how it took about 3 hours to dig this t-shirt up out of our old rags, I thought I better get in here and at least get it on the video. It's got some good memories. It's the I think it's the sort of 90s Tortfeasor collection. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that, because I'm on this side of the camera, as you can imagine. Anyway, there's that. There's that. That's it. Thanks again. Have a great birthday. Bye.